friend or your association. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh. How many cuttings, Cecile? None. What about none? How about none? Some none. A few none. My idol? None. 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 You know why? That flesh is a representative of the designer, the creator. This is how Yahweh created you. You're either going to say, oh man, I am beautifully, fearfully, and wonderfully made. Or you're going to say, no, I want to exert my lordship in my life and over my body. I will redesign his design. That is what the Jewish leaders told Yeshua in the first century. Told the Prushim, we have no king but Caesar. We want a worldly king like the nations. See, people say in Israel, you're going to get this all over the place, and that's why you need Rabbi Moshe. People say one of the sins of our forefathers was we wanted a king like all the nations. And because Yahweh was already our king, we demanded a king. He gave us a wicked king, a selfish king, a prideful king, named King Shaul. That was our punishment. That's not true. That's 100% not true. That was not a sin. Yahweh even prophesied in the Torah, in Devarim 17, that he would give us a king. Okay? So the fact that we wanted a king was not a sin. Because Yahweh prophesied, he says, when the king comes, okay, he shall not multiply horses, and he shall not multiply wives. Okay, that means you don't collect wives like you collect horses. But if you're going to limit the king to one wife, you also have to limit the king to one horse.
And
you
one piece of gold, and one piece of silver.
And one piece of gold, and one piece of silver. Yahweh's not saying a king can't have more than one wife or more than one horse. He's saying you can't collect them. They're not toys. Because they could take your eyes and your heart away from Yahweh, having a lot of things and a lot of possessions. So Yahweh said in Devarim 17, he will give you a king, and please do not warn this king not to multiply wives or horses. That wasn't a sin, wanting to have a king. So then why did the prophet Shmuel rebuke our forefathers for wanting a king when Yahweh was already our king? Why? I'm glad you asked. Our sin was that we wanted a king like the heathen. Yahweh wanted to give us a righteous king like Yeshua or like Melech David. Amen. But we didn't want that. We wanted a king like all the nations, meaning a wicked, selfish, prideful king. That was our sin.
Like the nations.
Like the nations. Same with our flesh. Should our flesh be for the nations or for Yahweh?
Amen.
So look at this. Vayikra 19:28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any tattoo marks upon you. I am Yahweh. And the proof that it's one of the... Can we talk? There are many times in my past life that I wanted to get tattooed. Because I thought it was sexy. Either to my wife or to prospective women. It is sexy. It's a turn. Ooh. Well, for some people it is. But for some people it apparently is. It's power. It's identification. I'm somebody. I'm identifying with a power or a group or a family or a sect or a god or a deity. And I belong. And I'm in control. I can control my own flesh. Yeah, there's a certain sex angle to it. Yes, there is. Which is why so many of those cuttings go in secret places. So I've had to fight that same inclination. I'm glad I didn't. Now look at Vayikra 25:1.
Me too.
Look at Vayikra 25:1. They shall not make baldness upon their head, nor shall they fully shave the payas of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. Okay, so we have one witness in Vayikra 19:28. You cannot ever cut your flesh for any reason other than health reasons under the supervision of a medical doctor. Number two, the same Elohim that tells the Jewish people, specifically the Orthodox today, who wear payas, okay, like our friends got the beginning of payas there, Tim, right? The beginning of those payas. Now I bet you cut them. It's not like you've never cut them, right? Not like you never cut them. What Orthodox Judaism says is, if you ever cut them, you're in sin. He's not saying that. Yahweh is saying when it comes to payas, or the sideburns of the beard, the side locks, the sideburns, he's saying, you shall not fully shave so that you are clean shaven. I mean, I'm not picking on anybody, Ray. Take, for example, your typical Sunday morning pastor. Have you ever met a pastor that has a beard? You got to think pretty hard.
Yes, you do.
Now, there may be some.
Yeah, they are.
I've had one.
There may be one here and there, but isn't it interesting how they pride themselves in their clean, country boy, clean-shaven look? Because you know the truth is? You know what the truth is? They are NASCAR fans, and they love them good old boys. And it's not really a sport. They're just a couple of boys come out, drink a couple of brewskis on a Sunday morning, and some boys are just going to lift up the hood and go racing. You know, it's just racing, man. It's no big deal. Just a couple of boys are going to just go race, and everybody, all the boys, all the southern, good old southern boys. Richard Petty never had a pit crew. He just had a bunch of boys work on a car. You know what I'm talking about, bro? He didn't have no pit crew. He had a couple boys working on that car. Good old boys. Not just any boys, right? Good old boys. See, and they were all nice and clean. You ever see any pit crew that has a beard? Probably not. Very few. Sunday pastors who have a beard.
Probably.
And Yahweh says, what are you doing, man? Don't completely shave off the corners. So what what was the last president that we had who had a beard? Lincoln? Ulysses S. Grant? I mean, are you getting a picture here? Yahweh says don't, the world says do. Yahweh says don't, the world says look how clean shaven I am. And you got to be clean shaven, because how else can the manufacturers sell the aftershave? You got to be clean shaven so they can sell that aftershave. A little dab will do you, and just put it on the flesh. So Yahweh says this: you can cut and shave your payas. These are your payas. But you cannot fully shave your payas, and neither, again, second witness, neither can you make any cuttings in your flesh. Any means any. It's an all-inclusive term. So they shall be kiddushim to their Elohim, holy ones, set apart ones, and not defile the name of Elohim. So here I got a problem. I got someone who's into the sacred name. Yahweh this, Yahweh that, Yahweh this, Yahweh that, but they're sitting there and their flesh is all pierced and cut. What to do? I don't know. They're saved. They didn't do this intentionally. They came into the truth after. They were tattooed before they got saved. Okay, well, now that you know the truth, do you still go to church on Sunday? No, you've corrected your behavior. Now that you know the truth, do you still celebrate Easter and Christmas? No, you've corrected your behavior. Why not correct your behavior and make your new wineskin truly a new wineskin? Will it cost you? Absolutely. It always costs to serve Yahweh. Oh yes, it will cost. Just like Brit Milah will cost. It always costs. Serve Yahweh. No free lunch serving Yahweh, and no picnic either, but it has great reward in the Olam Haba. Can I hear a good amen? Amen? So Yahweh says, don't make any cuttings in your flesh, so that you could be who you've been declared to be. Be ye kadosh, for I am kadosh. Yahweh sees us as a malchut of kiddushim. In order to live kadosh, we must not allow our flesh to be cut in order to portray any kind of graven image of any kind. In order to be kohanim, we must not allow our... The idea... Can we talk? I mean, can you imagine going back centuries? Can you imagine in ancient Israel finding a kohen with tattoos? What do you think they would have done to that guy? I mean, the guy wouldn't have ever approached Yahweh's altar. But in our National Tattooed Association society, anything goes. And Yahweh understands. He understands. He understands. Don't worry about it. He understands.
He knows the heart.
He knows the heart. He knows the heart. I mean, I can't imagine a Kohen in ancient Israel